Hey everybody, how's it going? Looks like we have a bunch of my favorite people here. Channel member Don, channel member Jason, channel member Rex, channel member Gaten, channel member Frank, channel member Bob. Thank you for coming, thank you for supporting, and thank you everyone else for being here too. Welcome to the show, welcome to October, and here we are. This is the 30 Minutes of Awesome, the one time of the week where I do requests for at least 30 minutes. And make sure you are subscribed, although it looks like most of you are. You want to be here every morning. I go live and go through the market, what's popping, what's dropping, and yeah. So anyway, for those channel members that may have missed it this morning, I was thinking about doing a special content piece maybe once a week where I go through the top 50 by options volume, and I figured out how to pull that list today automatically, so that makes it easier. Thought about putting that video out for channel members once a week and just going through like what's the expectation. It's not like trades, but it's like what are those expectations for those top 50 stocks. And so looks like the overall, I mean, who doesn't want more content? But you know, you guys put more faith in me, so I thought about making special content just for you, pumping it out. I've been thinking real hard about what I can do for the channel members and what kind of content you might appreciate. That seemed like one that I don't really do anywhere else. And those top 50, just for you to wonder what that kind of looks like, let me go ahead and screenshot this list from today and pull this out. Grab it over here, grab it over here. This is what this would look like right here. That's the stocks that would be, I mean, for today, that's what a top 50 list looks like right there. That's by options volume. Talking about SPY, Tesla, NVIDIA, QQQ, Meta, Apple, Dash, IWM, BABA, PDD, Coin, Microsoft, MicroStrategy, AMD, Amazon, GLD, Dollar Tree, Netflix, Google, JD, the Yen, Micron, Boeing, KWB, which is that Chinese ETF thing, SMCI, AVGO, TLT, Nike, TQQQ, Humana, Occidental, the other Google. We have Alphabet A shares and Alphabet C shares or whatever, both on the list. EEM, Costco, FUTU, SOXL, which is a leveraged semiconductor ETF, PLTR, XOM, XOP, that's interesting, and Booking.com, Taiwan Semi, SMH, the semiconductor ETF, SLV, XLE, FXI, Lockheed Martin, Baidu, Bilibili, Lilly, Eli Lilly, and NIO. So that's the top 50 by options volume right there. And they are in a list, like the list is from most volume to least volume. And it's not number of contracts, it's actually notional value of the options traded. So I kind of did it that way, not just by number of options, because you know somebody could dump a big chunk of options and you know not be necessarily a lot of money, you know, buying a bunch of nickel calls or whatever. And I thought it was more better to go after that. Anyway, so there's the potential list on that content item. And thanks for the back. You like the background? That's AI work for you. Fall. It's fall, y'all. There we go. Hey, David, congratulations. Congratulations. And Ronger's back until April. Fishing, I guess. The weekly fishing tournament done. And there we are, everybody. So we've got Q4 earnings season ramping up in the next couple weeks. We are in Q4 now. Golly, this is the time, like I was talking about this morning, this is the time to stop and look at what you've done. 3/4 of the year is gone. Are you happy with what you've been doing this year with your trading? Now it's time to make a change. We've got 3 months left. We've got 1/4 of the time left. You can make a change. You can do something different. You can be more aggressive. You can be less aggressive. You can go after a little different sector. You can make your choices. We have the jobs report for the month of September coming out at the end of the week. Get the unemployment rate, all that good fun stuff. You know, last month they said they whacked off almost 1 million jobs. Just chopped them out. And like, what the heck? What the heck? Anyway, Yeah, congratulations, David. Both y'all great people. And hopefully we'll have another Turnaround Trading Lab event before too long and get to see everybody again. Maybe, you know, Finborn asked me to please wait until after the election. So we'll see. We'll see. That'll probably be somewhere in February. I'm thinking after we get past the, doing in the holidays that's just not going to work. So we're going to have to push it out probably February or, somewhere in there. I'll try to avoid the snow. December, January, typically when it snows here. And usually by the time we get to February, we're kind of winding it down. We'll see. We'll see what the team wants to do. Anyway, so after we get through Q4, I mean, basically there's not much to talk about. Q4 earnings, ramp it up. Jobs coming out Friday. Not a lot to talk about there either. We'll get the news. I mean, they're kind of, the estimate is for kind of an inline unemployment forecast, 4.2. We've had 4.2. It is slightly climbing a little bit though. That's an interesting. Does it ramp up even more? I guess that's what they've kind of used as the excuse to do the half-point cut. They're talking about another half-point cut, like the day after the election, coming up in November, in a month. I don't know. It's going to be a wild ride between now and the beginning of the year. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. All right. So, without further ado, all trading involves a substantial risk of loss. Past performance not necessarily indicative of future results. This presentation intended to be informational, educational, fun, entertaining, not a recommendation to be buying or selling any financial instruments. That's no stocks, options, bonds, forex, futures, cryptos, treasuries. Don't trade them. Don't long them. Don't short them. If you desire personal financial advice, you got to hire, consult a financial advisor. Even though I'm looking at your ticker that you request today, it is a high daily view picture. I'm not trying to dig down into all the little nitty gritty and try to predict all the little twists and turns. I'm trying to give you the big picture, where I expect it to go for the next several months. That's the whole goal here today. So when we get to that requesting part, remember, keep that in mind. It doesn't matter. Like, you got to keep in mind your trade. If you took something like a triple threat trade, you're like, JT, what's Netflix doing? And I look at the daily chart. It has nothing to do with what triple threat trade's going to do in the next, 30 minutes to an hour of market open time. Same with Apollo trades. Those 30-minute, like what it does over the next week, it could do just about anything over the next week and still go on to meet the criteria that I'm looking for on the daily chart. So just keep it in mind, all right? Don't get freaked out. Don't stop yourself out. And what happened to crypto this afternoon? It retraced to the roadmap line. Right to the roadmap line. I kind of said that it looked like it was going to do that this morning. Did I not? Anybody remember that? Boom. Right there. Anybody remember me saying that this morning? Anybody? Anybody at all? I scare myself sometimes, honestly. That kind of freaked me out a little bit right there. Now, do we hold it or do we break down? That's the big question. Can we hold it or do we push on lower, break down below this? And that's not good. That's not good. So we want to hold this, turn higher, and get the heck out of here. So I didn't really expect it to happen today, but there it is. Oop, there it is, as they say. And so now we have this. We've got support here at the roadmap line. Right there. And then we've got support right here. And we don't really want to see it break down. We want to see it stay here and go up. That's where we're at. So there we go. There we go. All right, moving on. Yeah, what a day. What a day. And let's pull up the red list because that's usually what we go through during Tuesdays. 30 minutes of awesome. Let's hit the highlights. ES is the S&P 500 futures. And, well, couldn't do it. Couldn't get higher. So we went on a deeper retrace. And interestingly enough, let's just take a moment here to learn something, a little something here. Check this pattern out right here. So I was optimistic we were going to go higher, but well, the market had other things in store as usual. And that high, this low, this high. Looky here. Look at that level. Right in the potential reversal. Now, here's what, looking down even further, jumping down, what might we do? So this had a move up, a retrace to a higher low, a move up, a retrace to a higher low into the close. Now, the problem with this being bullish, that high and that low overlap. Everybody see this? So, what we have to see right now in order to maintain a bullish potential, this move right here and this move need to kind of be echoed right here. About the same size as these two other moves. And then when we do that, highly likely we're going to get a deep, fast retrace back down in the vicinity of this low right here. We have to stay above this. Like, it cannot go below this right there. Cannot go below that point. And then we can rally up out of here and cruise on up to 6,000. But that's the likely path forward. Now, if we break down below, if we don't do this before we do this, and we break down below this low, it's highly likely we're going on down. Highly likely. How far down? That's a good question. Let's zoom out and take a look. Gotta have to go back up time frame. Gotta go back. So here's where it gets complicated. We came off this low in August, or September, excuse me, September. And we came up here, right here. And we did that move right there. We left a gap right there. So we could, in fact, go fill that gap. And we could, in fact, come all the way back down to this area right here. So that's support. This gap is support. And if we can maintain this, we can go higher from here and just go cruising off. We don't have to go severely lower, but, you know, it's in the charts that we might. So, going to have to keep an eye on this right here. All right, so we've done a move up, a retrace, a move up. Could do a retrace back down into this vicinity right there. That's where that 55, 50 area kind of comes in play that I've talked about a little bit over the last couple weeks. So we may retrace that back in there, or we can push it out higher. Now, in Q. Dun, 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 dun. This one is also interesting. We've got the move up, we got the retrace, we've got the move up. We may retrace back down in this area just a little deeper. Still potential for that. I know there's lots of stuff on the chart. If you're new here, that's kind of the way my brain works. So, all right, here is the support right in here. If we need to retrace it deeper, but we're holding in a good spot to take it higher. Now we left, funny enough, this right here is where the gap is, right there. This gap right there is right on the top of this box. So we could knee jerk it down to the top of that box. So, by your experience, how long can it take to go 5,400 and lower? Hey, right now, time is the most difficult part of this whole thing to predict. You can ask everybody here that's been with me for years, and I mean, sometimes I get it bang on the time. More often than not, I'm optimistic and predict a shorter amount of time than what it actually takes to do the thing I predict it's going to do. I'd say it's probably I probably 50% of the time I run out of time on how long it's going to take to get to my expectation. Things just progress more slowly than I have this vision of them happening. Now, this purple zone over here is the ideal time for this to reach up here. And we kind of reach into, when I was looking at the time-based fibs over here. Let's see, how did I do this? Yeah, I think that was it right there. So this run, this dip, that next run could top out somewhere in this purple zone over here. Now we could retrace and then bounce up in there. So that's kind of what I've got in mind right now. Somewhere in that zone. So ES over here, using that same kind of mentality. Where might we top out? This run back here from April into July, into the low, and same kind of time frame. Look at that. It kind of lines up with the election right there. So time-wise, we could be looking at topping out over here. And really, it would be, to be topping out, we'd have to be higher than where we are now. So we could top out somewhere in this box, somewhere in that neighborhood right there. And then drop right there. Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like, I don't try to read deeper into all this stuff. I try to predict where the price is going to go. I feel like I kind of got lucky on the Bitcoin call, honestly. I mean, maybe it's magic, maybe it's not. I was kind of focused on the fact that it might go there because it stopped so firmly right there in that resistance. You know, rejection, rolled over, and it looked like we were going to get acceleration right there. Now, I want to see this hold here. If we start breaking down and we get down to this low and we don't hold that low, we're probably going lower low. And that's something I thought might happen. This could turn into a flush that we flush down to a lower low. You know, the reason I say that, Ethereum came up shy right here. It's not very common that Ethereum, it's not very common that anything would truncate a lower low or a higher high, right? The finishing move does not usually miss the target. This needed a finishing move. It needed one more lower low. Everybody says, well, that was a flush out. No, it needed one more to finish this baby up. It missed. It did not get lower. It did on the futures, but it didn't on any of the spot indexes or any of the spot markets. At least none that I found. It might have kind of prolonged that and still need to get that one more flush right there. That would take Bitcoin down. All right. That might be what's playing out. I've cautioned people on getting too excited in the big weekend update for crypto. If you haven't watched that in the Crypto Power Plays channel, I was pretty focused on not getting too excited about crypto yet. Why? It kind of stems back to when you look at total, we weren't breaking out. You look at total 2, we weren't breaking out. Look at total 3, still hitting still really not doing it. Not doing it. We got close, but we weren't doing it. And if you put it back to the highs, we really weren't doing it at all. But getting close when we tried and then rejected. And then when you look at others, all the others, it was a swing and a miss. Really depends on where you put the line there. But that's only 3 waves up, so gives me a lot of heartburn here. And we didn't even come up to an ideal spot to find resistance. Oh, excuse me. So, yeah. All right, Ivan. Thanks. So, there you go. All right. Moving on. That's ES. That's in Q. Looking at the Russell. Still looking a little sketchy here. And we may. So, here's what may happen in the markets. This may finish a 5-wave move off this high down. This may retrace back up pretty deeply. In Q, goes up, hits the target. ES makes the extension target. This makes another lower high. Kind of sets up a head and shoulders type thing. So this could be a little deeper, possibly. And then we roll off. So this could be, I'm just kind of speculating here. Always trying to figure out where I'm wrong. We could come back down in here. We could come up here. And do something like that. And then blast it down. So watch out for that. That would be what I would warn about on Russell right there. CL. I wasn't convinced this morning. I was very skeptical on that move. That is a big. That's a stop out candle. Anybody been trading long? That's a stop out candle. What do I mean by that? Does anybody not understand what I mean when I say a stop out candle? We can go to a clear chart and look at it real quick. Come on, load up. Cool. Cool. I'm on the monthly chart. Go back to the daily. Here we go. See the range on this candle? On the high, all the way up here. Look how many candles that engulfed. See how many candles that range on that candle, and it stayed right in the middle, right there. That's what I call a stop out candle, because it got everybody that had stops up here for going short. It stopped out everybody that had stops down here for going long, and then ended up the day right in the middle. We didn't go anywhere. That was just kind of clearing out the playing field right there. They're clearing it out. Cleared all this. Cleared all this. Ended up green, but it's still an inside candle. Inside this one. This might get continuation lower, make the lower low, possibly lower than this low back over here, all the way over here from April. Might get one more lower low before we bounce. And all the things I've said about who might win the election based on oil, still holding true. All right. Good afternoon from the mountains. Which mountains? There's lots of mountains all over the world. Brent did make a lower low here and recently made a higher low. Now this may be the tell that we're about to launch off. So CL might just be muddy from all the algos, and this actually more clear that it might launch off. But we kind of rejected breaking out today. So that gives me caution. Was that back testing the downtrend of, or the uptrend of lows? You know, we kind of broke down through the uptrend of lows, back testing it, and we could extend lower. That's always a possibility. But this did do the pattern that I was looking for, where we made the lower low than April and March, April, right in there. We made that lower low here. That can finish this up. Like, Kind of how I was talking about Ethereum not done on the downside. Like oil not really done on the downside, potentially. So Brent does have that in place, and that's the European oil futures versus the U.S. oil futures. This is for delivery in Oklahoma, and this is for delivery in London, right there. RB1 made the lower low also, so this is clear. So the one that's not clear is U.S. oil right there. You know, West Texas crude oil. This one clear that we probably maybe made a bottom and we're gonna launch off. Maybe. All right, the potential's here. The roadmap line's all the way up here. We've got a lot to go before we confirm it. A lot to go. Got a lot higher to go. Have to get all the way up here above 220, 230 to confirm we're going higher. Heating oil, diesel fuel did the same pattern. So we've got CL not matching, but Brent matches, gasoline matches, heating oil matches. So diesel fuel matches. We could potentially rip. So that would be very interesting. And look at natural gas. Quietly over here in the corner. When we break out above 313, kind of confirms we're going cruising on up to probably 366, if not $4. $4 is kind of my target. It's been the target I've been talking about for like a year. I think we're going to $4 before we find a major resistance. Right up there. GC, what a reversal that one took today. I tell you. Can't keep this sucker down. 2 days of pullback and then ripping right back up. Did not break higher than that one, but that was in a bullish engulfing candle. Can we get continuation tomorrow? That's the big question. I don't know. I do think we're positioned to go higher. Silver is definitely positioned to go higher. It's tried to break out, got rejected, came back to that prior high. This has all the makings of getting an outsized rip higher. Be careful. I wouldn't bet it. Oh, so how does gasoline prices affect pump prices? This is wholesale price of gasoline minus all the taxes you pay at the pump and the profit from the gas station. So $1.96.6 is the wholesale price right now on the futures. So you take that, you add in like $1 of taxes plus, you know, fees and blah 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 blah. You know, all the profit and all the other crap they put in there, and then you get pump prices. Anyway, well, some places, yes, you know, going for $2.26 or whatever. And I mean, so hey, some places tax it in as much, and then other places like California is still like $6 a gallon or some stupidness, and you're like, what the fudge? Move out of California. Anyway, so silver looks primed to break out. Copper, Dr. Copper, that's still a lower high. Be careful. I'm not convinced that this is the breakout we were looking for. This might be. If you got long on copper stuff, be careful. Oh my gosh, be careful. Let's go over here. Let's talk about. I don't want to like remove all my things, but I want to show you something really quickly that kind of scares me right here. Kind of scares me. Not only did I draw that on there a few days ago, we have this high, this low, that 618, possible resistance up to the 786. Now, this is a measured bounce. This can be a 1-2, and this is an AB in place here. This was an A, very firm A. This was a very firm B, three-wave move at this point. Deep retrace. That's a potential 1-2 in place. This scares me a lot because we could very, very quickly flush this down right down here, possibly even to the 1618 right there at $3. And this can go, this is like crash setup scenario. This is what I'm looking forward to set up on IWM. Russell. This is the exact same pattern I was just talking about on Russell setting up that crash scenario, that flush out scenario. That's what we got sitting here in copper. Now, can copper flush out while the market goes higher? I don't know. That's the big question right there. Have an interesting situation set up on copper. Now, does it have to do it? No. Could it keep on going up here and go on up to 540? Sure, it possibly could. Right now, it's a possible scenario. If we get below the roadmap line right here, right in here, if we get below that sucker, we're probably coming on down. 360, 333, $3. That's probably where we're heading. We're probably going lower. More than likely, we're going lower than this low right back over here. If we break down, if we get below the roadmap line, get below this low, come cruising on down, we're likely making a low around $3 on copper. Be careful. Permacautious right here. Permacautious. All right. The rest of those, worthless to talk about. We've already talked about Bitcoin and Ethereum. So the rules of the game. You can make one request per person. Please use all caps. And use a ticker I can type in. If you got a question about the ticker that goes with your ticker, please use complete sentences. Don't get upset at me that I skipped your ticker, whatever. Just request again. One ticker per person per request. Wait for one, preferably 2 people to go before you go again. If you're going to request crypto, I need the full ticker that I can type in a trading view. Don't make me guess. Don't say like Boeing. Just give me BA. All right. And I'll go until I get tired or I get to the end. Or the third condition, we drop firmly below 70 people on the stream, and I'll cut it off. All right. First up, CVS is that's a pretty garbage chart. Up into the roadmap line, rejecting. I'm not convinced we're at the bottom. I mean, man, oh man. Man, oh man. We could go up a little bit too, up quite a bit here. So here's what we got cooking on CVS. That move down, that move up. This is like what I was talking about on copper here. Almost. Except a much bigger time frame picture thing. We need this to flush down into this zone to find a bottom. Right there. I don't think that was it. Like, that was 5 waves down. That's 3 waves up. Lower high. Probably going to come down into this. It's going to have to make a lower low. Like, to complete the pattern, it has to go lower than that right there. It's kind of like I was talking about Ethereum and all the other things there. Like, it just can't finish it up without, like, these things just don't leave their charts unfinished, typically. That's a very rare instance. So, highly likely this is going to flush down, make a lower low than that $50 area right there. Maybe down to the ideal 40 before it finds a bottom. That would be what I expect on CVS. So if you're bullish, that doesn't mean it won't play out for the next few months. Find resistance here before it rolls over. So it can be bullish into possibly 2026 and then roll over and come down here. That's just not done on the downside yet. Just not finished. And run, sun, run. Dun, 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 dun. Let's see what we got here. And that was, I don't know why people want to trade things that look kind of nasty like this. I mean, maybe it broke out of this channel. Maybe. It's got a significant bunch of stuff to work through to go higher. We're just coming into that consolidation, and it's an easy place for it to turn down and go lower right there. It's a rough chart. Could it be forming a reversal? It could, but that move up, this retrace, we're finding resistance right at the worst place to do it. It's I don't know. Not my favorite chart right there. I don't have a high probability anything, but it looks like it's going to go lower. PBF would be the next ticker. Good grief. What are we chasing here? That's 3 in a row that look pretty gnarly. Man. So that was bullet, like that was, here was the good place to get in. And certainly when we broke out here, like that was a good place to get in right there. This over here, that's rough. So we've got this low, we've got this high. Here's support. Down here, 13. Yeah, you're like, whoa. That's like a lot less. Yeah, it's like 61% down. You know, if we just came down to the 50%, we'd be like 40, almost 50% down. That's what we got right now. That looks like it finished the move up. That 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 looks done. That means this would be the ideal retrace on that chart. There you go. Hate to break it to you. PM. Philip Morris. This is a crazy stock right here. What other business can they pretty much outlaw it and it goes right up to the targets? Pretty much outlawing you doing your business and boom, right up to the target. Now, looking at the bigger pullback that it did over here. Bigger time frame, bigger picture. 137.70 upside resistance right there. 152 above that. Looking for this to top out in this zone. And it may kind of do, may do this situation where we go right up here to the target, bounce, 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 and could come up here. 199. But how long was that take? What did that take? I mean, 2030s, 2040s? I don't know. Could take a while. We could chop in this for a while before we got that extension. So, if we got to 137, I would protect my profits. Consider booking it right there. Big picture on Philip Morris. All right. Oxy, Ollie, Oxen Free. So here we are again. For those that you've been around for a while, follow me on this one. Same pattern. Made that move down. I was like, this is not bullish. We came up here. I was like, I'm not convinced by the breakouts. And here we are. Where might the bottom be? That high, this low, this high. We might be at a bottom. Might. It also might continue down to the 1272 extension. Just like we saw on yesterday. On that 3-wave correction thing. That's where this moved down. This moved down. We're equal right now, but this would be an extension to the 1272. That put it 127.2 times bigger than this move right here. 127% big, 127.2% bigger. And why that? It's a fib level. It's the way the world works right there. Classic move. All right. That was Oxy Cade Webb. So y'all are just rolling through the top 50 list today. K Webb, and that pulls down to there. We're right at the targets. Can it extend? Sure. Next target up, 38. Target above that, 46. We are, the curious thing to me, look where we're stopping. That needs a retrace. Like that was a little far, a little fast, a little straight up. Would not surprise me to retrace, gain some bearings before we actually made a bigger move. This may be indicative that we're getting a little over the skis here on K-Web. All right. C-Web, same situation. All right. HD Home Depot. Look at that. Beautiful extension. That is the target right there. I'm just going to simpler charts today instead of digging through the muck on all my other charts. That one right there. Right to the target. 418 possible above that. Retrace, highly likely at this point. That the high probability thing was done. The entry all the way back over here. Had to sit through it, and now we're at the target. So that it worked out. That was took a little over 2 months, and we're there. And we're there. Could it go higher? Sure. Do I expect it to retrace? Yeah. I'm betting on a retrace? No. I'm not even trading this. Not even trading it a little bit. AA. What a chart. So this looks like, to me, this looks like first move down, retrace, and we're going to get an extension down right there. We stopped in the resistance zone. Lower highs. Be careful. It's perma cautious, but that looks like a bearish chart. Unless we can break out above this 42, well, 43. This high right over here. If we break out above that, and the upside is not that great. Like that's 90% of charts aren't that great opportunity. And that's just kind of the way the whole world works here. The market works. I go digging for the best of the best opportunities all the time. And this to me is not one of them right now. That looks unfinished to the downside. And it all stems back from, I mean, look at that. Could that have been the bottom? Maybe. 3 waves up is not the way to start it. It's just not the way to start it if we're going to go up. So this might need a deeper retrace. And to finish this up, that low, that high, 50%. So we may, yeah, right there, 17, maybe where we have to flush this down to. Right in there. Get that measured bounce. And then potential upside gets crazy from there. Because it can go all the way up here. Like 300, 600. Crazy numbers. Crazy numbers. All right. Now is bouncing off the target. Retracing. Could go back down to the roadmap line at 783. NVDA. I'm almost sick of talking about this one. That's a bunch of lower highs. Watch out. We have not broken through. Can't get continuation. This may result in a retrace that comes down lower. I think this looks like the bubble pattern. Bubble pattern, if you're not familiar, it's like this. This is the danger of the bubble pattern right here. We come up. Think about it. You heard people talking about this, right? I'm going to buy more. I'm going to buy as much as I can. I got to tell everybody. People were telling everybody buy NVIDIA. It's going up. Even the mainstream media. NVIDIA. Even Jim Cramer. Even Goose's stewardesses. Even, you know, Uber drivers. And we had all sorts of people coming on saying, JT, you know, you keep talking about that. And I realized that everybody, people that don't trade, were talking about NVIDIA and SMCI. SMCI already gave it up. And then right here, everybody talking about how, like, even my YouTube coach was talking about how excited he was about his NVIDIA position. My YouTube coach that doesn't trade. I mean, what the heck? Euphoria. Now, we're right here. We're in complacency, right? We just got to cool off. Next rally, not far behind. You see that, right? You see people talking about that? NVIDIA just needs to cool off a little bit. It'll come back. Watch out. Watch out if we break down. You see, wrong chart. You see what we're doing right here. We're starting this consolidation, right? We've got the lower highs, but at the same token, we're doing this consolidation in here. Get that consolidation. Once it breaks, back down. All right, I hate to be like that, but I've seen this pattern so many times, and even though this did its split today, you see it, right? Does anybody not see it right here? Highly likely to come back into that zone right there. Watch out. Highly likely. Highly likely. Be careful on NVIDIA. Be careful on SMCI. Be careful on semiconductors. They could go higher. Could. The danger is, it's like danger close. Danger. Even AMD. That's consolidating. It could flush on down. It's not as bubbly as the other ones because this looks more constructive. But this did finish it completed the pattern to the upside. So what does it need now? It needs that retrace down here to this ideal target. It needs a retrace back down to here, back down to here, into that zone. That's where it needs to go. Then it clears the runway to go higher. It can consolidate way longer than I can stay in that right there. So I'm just waiting for the opportunity on AMD. PayX. Breaking higher. Beautiful. Beautiful potential. So sometimes you just got to go higher time frame and clear it up. There's no roadmap line, but there was the high. There was the low. Here's the breakouts and 147.83 on the upside. How long could it take? 3, 4, 5, 6 months more? You tell me. It's been on a tear so far. Keep going on the tear. 147, possibly up to 153. Would I expect much more than that? Not at this time. Oh, there's the roadmap line. There it is. Way down there. Is it a weekly chart? Yeah, it was a weekly bounce right there. Weekly bounce. So I expect that to run out of steam. Possibly as high as 171, but probably run out of steam there. All right. That's PayX for you. Crocs, baby. Somebody I know likes to wear Crocs. So the daily charts, just kind of chopping. That's higher lows. Looks like we're set for 174. I wouldn't really expect it to fail. Although it is finding resistance pretty strong from that prior. Only spent a little bit of time up there. Tough getting through. May retrace back down to 134 before we can pop out. And as I zoom out, you can see how crooked my lines are. I see that's a significant level. It's been there before, been there now. Tried to go higher, failed. Now we're trying again. But that was 5 waves up. That was a fair retrace. Maybe not as deep as it needed to be. 50%. Yeah, that's cool. I can take it on up. Definitely take it on up. We already have this one over here in place. This one in place. Oh. It's got a nested pattern to go higher. Winding up for the breakout. Now that breakout could take us 220 on the conservative side and much higher. Potentially 328. Possibly even 500 on the bigger picture there. What new shoe might Crocs come out with that everybody has to have? You tell me. WM Waste Management. Popped up, hit the extension, retracing, working on it. So here's the high, here's the low. If we can break above the gap. It left a giant gap down. That's the downside here. A giant gap down. Break through the gap. 228 on the upside. DXCM, Dexcom. DXCM. Come on. Fingers. That move. That retrace. Unfinished business with 57 area. Somewhere in this zone, I would expect to touch. Now, we did make a lower low. It did meet the minimum criteria, but that doesn't look done. Chasing it to the upside, I would be very careful. That can definitely go lower. Oh, yeah. Wow. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with a blow off. And yeah, I would bet. I bet we get a bigger retrace on that one. Usually, we retrace to the vicinity of the wave 4. If this was a 1, 2, 3, 4 with the 5 extension, a lot of times we'll come back to the vicinity of the 4 for the retrace. Now, if it does that, it sets up a much bigger upside. But that's a lot of downside from where we are. 70-80% downside right there on Dexcom. All right. RTX, Raython. No, RYA, Rainier, RTX. This is RTX. Well, I knew eventually this would pop. Sooner or later, we had to buy those missiles back. There we are, right at the target. We're burning missiles like crazy. Just a matter of time. Sending them to Ukraine. Possible up to 151 for more resistance up there. Remind me later on the upgrades. Thing wants to uninstall new everything every week. Potential for that. And if you look at that, move up. Trace. Oh, yeah. That could have an outsized upside potential sitting there. Possibly with a 300. Based on this chart. Let's go with the conservative 1272 right there. Somewhere in that zone. 223. Where it can possibly top out. All right. SMCI already did. Nike. Now, this one potentially finished the downside. Potentially. Potentially, I say. Get the right tool. This move here, and potentially it's done, but potentially it can go on down, and that's why I've got these alerts sitting here at 68 and 62. There's potential for it to come all the way back down. Now, looking at the daily charts, we're trying really hard to get through the roadmap line. And this move down here, this retrace here, that right there hit the 1272. There. This move down, echoed off of this move, went down to the 1272, and can be considered complete. Possibly. But I have to see a bunch of work out of Nike to go higher. Can come all the way back up here. Find resistance. It can actually come all the way back up. And back up to those highs. It's right there's resistance. Right there. It can rally all the way back up to that 125 area. and still turn down and go lower. If it gets through there, probably going up to new highs. That's the long and the short of it right there on that chart. Simple as could be. XLY. That one played out to the targets. That trade was finito for me. I wrote it from right over here. That was the entry right there. We sat sideways for, gosh, felt like a month. And it ripped right up to the targets. That's it. 199 was the target. What do I expect now? Retrace. Now, it could, very well could go higher, but that's, so this level right here, 75%, 77% of the time, we hit it. This level here, 70%. You know, just the naive condition across thousands of tickers, thousands of trades, tens of thousands of trades. 77, 70, 35. Right? You lose most of your mojo looking for that move right there. 35, 40%. We go that high. It drops off that severely. 70% down to 40%, 30%. Like, wow. Yeah. This pattern, this move happens a lot where we go from the 618, where we bounce off the roadmap line, get above the 618, and go up to that target. That happens a lot. This, not a lot. That's why I don't use that as a target very often. You need a measured bounce to get the extensions. You got to have something else boosting you up higher. So, FLNC. And, hey, Jeremy, thanks for becoming a channel member. That's a big downtrend. Be careful. Potential to roll off and keep going. That's let's see right there. ALVO. So far it's a downtrend. I'd be cautious on that. And what a gappy nasty chart. That's a rough one. I mean, could break out. That's not very, it doesn't have bullish build up like this high over here, overlaps this low over here, this high over here, overlaps this low over here. That's not the kind of stuff that bullish trades are built out of. See this high here, this low here, overlap. This high here, this low here, overlap. After we made a higher high, right there. It's not the kind of thing that bullish trades are built out of. CMG. Now that could, in fact, be done correcting after it's split there. It could. There's the market opening again, 6 o'clock. So looking for this to break up through this resistance here. If we can, 72, 76 on the upside for CMG. Charlie Foxtrot. Target is not that. That high, that low. Target is 90, possibly 93 above that. And already did Oxy, NNE, Nanonuclear. So caution here. I know there's a lot of hype on this stuff. It's going to have to prove it and break on out. That right there is resistance. If we turn down there, we can make a lower low. If we don't, if we get continuation through there, you know, daily close above 2050, 2025, 4750 becomes the target on the upside. Right in NNE, Lockheed Martin, just going for the exponential, baby. That high, that low. We're at the 1618. Put a little icing on it. 690, maybe above that. So this is 40%. This drops down to like 25%, 20%. Getting down at 5%, less than 5%, and that's less than 1%. So takes a lot of mojo to, but these ones that get momentum, like it doesn't, like if we get this high to 40%, it doesn't drop off that severe to keep cruising. So the ones that keep cruising till they find a wall. So, all right, kind of the way that works. So. All right, coin is stuck below the roadmap line, and if Bitcoin doesn't do the thing, I had speculated the other day that we may get a 618 retrace. That is a measured bounce. 618 retrace. I think I did that on the weekly update for crypto, and the next move, potentially this vicinity right there, if we can break above the roadmap line. Maybe pop it up here, do a retrace back to the roadmap line before we can do the full big breakouts up to the targets. That'll trigger my entry at that 230 area. I'll probably get in here, sit through, a pullback, and then we'll ramp up to the targets. We do have this resistance over here that we're going to have to work through from the early days of Coinbase. There's going to be bag holders that are going to want to liquidate. I've been holding for 4 years. I'm ready to get my money back. That's coin for you. All right. EA, Electronic Arts. No, Energy Absolute. It's Electronic Arts these days. It is Electronic Arts. Why did that pull up? Stupid. All right. I was like, wait, EA has to be Electronic Arts. We're chopping our way up. Like, this is not the most bullish because of all the things I was saying before, where we get this high, we make a higher high, then this low overlaps that high, then we make a new high here, and then we make a higher high, and then this low over. That's not the most bullish way to go about this, but it doesn't preclude us from hitting that 156 target there. Although the fact that we're sitting at all-time highs, trying to break through and just not doing it, not my favorite to try to trade. But so there's potential upside from 142 to 156, but it doesn't look like we're going to like the moon. It doesn't look like we're going to like 300 on this baby. Not right now. Not from what we've done. Google is stuck at the roadmap line. Not able to break higher. Not able to get through this funk here. And then we have more funk up here where we gap down. We've got this other funk right here where we gapped. We got that gap, this gap. Ugh. It's got a lot of work to do to go higher. Could easily bounce off of this right here and go lower if we can't beat that gap and go higher. So there's the upside potential. Here's your downside potential. That move down, this retrace, that spot right there. That's downside potential. There's upside potential. And upside's got resistance stacked against it for going higher. VIPs. You may be like, well, I want a GOG instead of GOGL. They're basically the same. And VIPs is interesting here. This high, this low, potential for that to go up to 21.96. Now I gotta go look. I gotta see if this fired off recently. Hold on. VIPs. It pulls up VIPs and daily charts. No. Oh my gosh. Check in daily charts. Yeah, no results. Wow. Oh, I was like, wait. days list for potential breakouts. Wow. Only has 1, 2, 3, 4. So that took too long to. Problem there. It took way too long to do this. We're going to have a close above that to really strongly suggest we're going to go higher. It's technically kind of there, but this is in the low price stuff realm. It may not work out, but 21.96 potential there. All right, QCOM. I don't even know where I typed that. Let's see, Q. Too many screens, too many. I don't see it anywhere on the screen. So QCOM finding resistance right in this zone. May go lower. So that looks like a potential 5 ways down, which that one projected off there. We may see it go just a tad lower right in here. And we may be setting up for a retrace. Could last us a little while. Takes us back up in here. And then get the final move down here. And it's kind of what I see right now. And when you don't look at it on log mode, it could be bouncing. All this could be negated right there. If we go to non-log mode, we could be looking at the fact that we moved up off that low, came up, came down to a 618, bouncing up. If we can break out, get back up through this area right here. There's multiple ways to do them all. So what makes it so tough to try to predict some of these is you're like, I don't know which one it is. Sometimes they're clear. Most of the time they're not. Like I said, 90% of the stuff is just complete wild garbage. So this could be the upside potential on QCOM if we get through and break out. If we turn down, we can come back on down here. Like I said, on the that low, right around there, 130 could be the downside. 300 could be the upside. And how long could it take? Years. Could take years. Anyway, all right. Get RTX rig. I am behind quite a bit, but I'll get there. Rig turned down. This is low price stuff, $4. And honestly, that looks like 3 waves up into resistance, and we may come down further. That move up, this retrace. Resistance. Looks like we may go lower low. That's 3 waves up into resistance. Lower low would be the finishing move on that, and it could put it out of business because that's pretty dang low. That's what I would expect on rig. AAPL. Talked about this quite a bit this morning. Looking for this to break on out. It may do a retrace back down to the roadmap line before it can find support right in here. May do that, especially if the market pulls back, but then that would be the target I would expect. I would be a buyer back down here. I was a buyer over here. I sold out here on that failed breakout. Then I was thinking about buying again. I didn't buy again. And we may retrace. Still expect it to go on up, but I wasn't happy with that, so I sold out. And looking to find another position if we can do the retrace. But if we don't, I'll be just fine sitting it out on Apple right now. Tesla has a much better opportunity right now. Burl looks like she wants to come back to the roadmap line right there. And CVX, Chevron, hanging out under the roadmap line. That's not bullish. Big downtrend. Be careful. Don't be Don't be lulled into complacency. A few green days don't fix it. It's still a downtrend channel. Still potential to go lower. Could it be a bull flag? Could. How low do we go though? It's got more room to go on the downside to get there. I just don't see a case for it to break out from where it is right the moment. I think we need a little bit lower low. That's CVX for you. All right. RKLB, Rocket Labs. Yeah, look at that go. Zooming out though. What do you see? Hot mess of danger. If you got in day one, you're just now coming back up to break even. What kind of chart does it look like? No, looks like nothing to me. Looks like danger. I don't like charts like this until they actually prove, it hasn't back tested the breakout here. It broke out above this high from here in 23. Coming up into the long-term IPO SPAC resistance. I don't know. I have a lot of heartburn on SPACs. I got burned on a couple. I made a bunch of money on a couple. Got burned on some others. I just don't feel like there's giant opportunity. I just don't. And we're turning, it found resistance here for a few days at that IPO SPAC spot. And if it breaks back down below this $8 area, we're coming back down here more than likely. So watch out for this level right there. That's the level to watch. $8. We break that back down below 8, coming back down right there. That's Rocket Lab for you. All right, NRG. Energy. What a play. It's at resistance. Could it go higher? 100? Sure. Retrace would be what I expect. Right in there. All right. Win. Now, so look at that go. Dang, I should have bought that. All right. This is a measured bounce. That did a 3-wave retrace. That did the 3-wave thing I was talking about. It bounced in the ideal spot. It does. This is like what I bought. I bought NEM when it did this. And now it's doing this. And here's the upside potential. 160, 180. Possibly ridiculous levels. Possibly 270. But it looks best on the non-log scale, so let's keep it in check. Maybe just this 150, 180 area might be all we can muster on this move. Then we retrace. We want to hold above that and go higher again. So 100 that we're at now to 150 to 180, ideally. Maybe even up to 200, but I'd be pushing it for a win. And NVIDIA already did. If you missed it, you can use the slider at the bottom. Go find it. GLD, we kind of hit on gold already. GLD just pushing higher highs. It does have significant resistance at 247 here, but when we go out and look at the bigger, much bigger picture. Get this high, get this low, possibly 296 up here. See, we're at this resistance. We're struggling a little bit to get through it, but 296 potential on up there. Like I said, some of these, when they just break out and get ripping, T-bone ripping. We got 296, 326, possibly 4, possibly 468, possibly stupid number. You know, look at this move that we've got going from this high to this low. We're playing it out here. 259, 300. So we may stall out at, I can make a case for gold going to 3,000 an ounce, which basically kind of roughly 300 on GLD. So can kind of sort of make that COP. Kind of cool. Phillips, y'all are hooked on oil this week. Hooked on energy stocks. That looks like it wants to come down. Stuck below the roadmap line. Can it break out? Sure, but it doesn't look very likely. Looks like it wants to go lower low. I'm just saying. All those look like they want to go lower low. We did SMCI, BA. We're not quite down to the next level. So here's what, all right. BA hit the ideal 618 retrace, but it did this other thing right here. Bounced up to that, and we may push down to this 139 area. We're at the kind of like ideal spot to find support and bounce, but could need just a little more. That looks like 1, 2, 3. May get a little 4 and a 5 wave down, 5th wave down. May need another little flush out from right in there to take us on down to 130. It may need it. I'm not sure. I'm not convinced that we're done yet on the downside because it just hasn't done all the things that it needs to do. It's just really difficult right now to say, yeah, it's done. Hit an ideal target spot. Could go on down to 140, 130 if it goes extreme. All right. That's BA for you. I'm not convinced it's done yet. Kind of like snow. Not convinced it's done yet. Just not convinced. AIG just keeps consolidating here. Lower highs. It's not indicative of doing anything except going sideways. Rejected that. Maybe lower. Maybe lower. Maybe what we're about to do, because that rejected here, and this would be the possible downside right now, and here's your possible upside if we break out above that downtrend highs. That's AIG for you. Not a lot of opportunity either way. CEG, Constellation Energy. Go look at all the other energy, and then this one's actually ripping, breaking out, and 300 would be the upside on CEG. CAT is also pushing highs. 413 if it's going higher. NVO, not NVA. And that looks like it needs just one more push. Push. So close to the target. Right there, we put it down there where it needs to go. For NVO, MG, RC. Some of these I talk about almost every day, and I already know the chart, and that's why it seems like, well, you're like, well, you talked a lot about some of these and then not much about others. If I don't look at the chart very often, I sit here and digest it, and if I look at the chart all the time, I already know what it's doing. So this one looks like we're not done on the downside. And BITO is just Bitcoin's charts, just kind of gunked up in a weird way. We're seeing this heavy. So what's really interesting here, they're eating their NAV, their net asset value, with this dividend they keep paying. Right here, they keep paying an absolute insane. It's almost like they're trying to wind down this right here. Because as that Bitcoin, as the Bitcoin ETF came on the market, they were paying a pittance, right? Paying a pittance. All of a sudden, like they skipped January, did a double dividend here. March, though, 70 cents. We doubled it here. And then we paid $1 here, paid $1 here, $1.60. $1.70, $1.50, $1.50, $1.20, $1. Like they're eating the net asset value with the dividend. It's really weird. They have like $1 billion. They're trying to free that back up, I guess. Expense ratio 0.95. So it is an expensive way to hold Bitcoin. Even the spot ETFs, I bid. And those are still an expensive way to hold Bitcoin. If you want to hold Bitcoin, just hold Bitcoin. But this is, expense ratio 0.12 compared to BITO. And think about it. There's no dividend to Bitcoin. And they don't make more money by rolling those contracts forward. So they're just eating the fund value by rolling them forward. And we look at BTC 1 exclamation point. It costs more to buy the forward contract. Like when you go from the current contract to the next contract, it costs more money. When you go from December, move forward. When you move forward here, when you move forward here, when you move forward here, you move forward here. Each time you're moving forward, it's costing more money. So that's eating BITO. That happens with this too. That's exactly why UVXY eats away. Like, why does UVXY go down over time? Because VX1 exclamation point, this tends to be higher in the future. Right now we have lower volatility expected into December, which is kind of interesting. We've got epic volatility priced right now, low volatility priced in December, and then it ramps up. Usually we're always pricing, this is backwardation right now. Contango is where we have future pricing. It's more expensive. We see CL, backwardation. That's where those short oil funds can make money in the long term because the future is lower priced. Potentially make money. So that's why we don't see as big a cost going. But then like something like ES1 exclamation point. That's why your short funds get their lunch eaten. Right, stuff that stays leveraged short, it doesn't have anywhere to be leveraged. It's up, the forward contracts on futures are more expensive. So be careful on BITO. Baba. If we can maintain the breakouts, this is one heck of a target. One heck of a target. That move up, that retrace, that target right up here, 140 to 170. Potential right there. ANET looking a little played out. That high, that low, we're in the played out zone right there. And Kava. Looking a little played out. Could it go higher? 144? Could. Somewhere we run out of gas. Where are we going to run out of gas? That's a good question. I don't know. Hard to say. 150 looks like a good spot for some built up, pent up resistance here. Yep. May tap 150 and then do a correction. How much of a correction? Could come back to 60s. Right back where we found support just a couple months ago. All right. That's Kava for you. Abercrombie and Fitch is back to the roadmap line. Finally. I thought it was... Last time we did it, went on a ginormous run. Don't know that that's going to have that kind of potential, but that would be absolutely stupid if it went from 135 to 900. I mean, just absolutely stupid. I don't think it can do that, but always welcome to be surprised. much more reasonable would be like 230. And if this was wave 1, this was wave 2, this is wave 3, this is wave 4, the wave 5 could take us to 260. So somewhere in the 215, 260 area, that'd be all I expect. So big blow off move, I would expect that right there. That's almost the same slope too. Somewhere like that. Right there. That'd be all I really expect out of Abercrombie & Fitch. PANW is still frustrating the crap out of me. Talk about one that's just sitting around waiting. Sitting around. 400 is my target. It's been my target since back here. If we break down below this uptrend of lows, it's game over for this trade. I'm holding shares with no time limits on shares. And whoa. WM already, I thought I did WM already. Waste management, yeah, I already did that one. Cart, C-A-R-T, Maple Bear. At low is the lowest low. We're at resistance, and this high from over here. If it can break out, yeah, that's a big if. If it can break out, we could be looking at something on up in the 46 to 50 area. This would be the target zone right up in there. But that's only 3 waves up so far, and it's not proportional. And it could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if that's the 5th wave up, we may get a deep retrace. The downside has high potential here. So here's the support zone right here. Back down at 30. If we did this, it sets up a whole new upside, but I'm not convinced we're doing anything at the moment. I would vote for this. This would be the better long-term potential. I don't know. It's like a 25% retrace. All right. PepsiCo. That's sideways. Just going nowhere for 2 years. Try to break out, try to break down. Nothing so far. I am not convinced we're done on the downside. We may need a lower low, as I've talked about with so many other charts. This looks like it is unfinished, has unfinished business right down here. And in UVL, New Valence, and we are below 70 people, so I may wrap this up here in a few minutes. This high, this low, 112. We're at the target. Probably going to get a retrace on that one. MU is sitting here with potential to break down lower. So this high, this low. Here's resistance. Gap down. There's resistance. If we break through it, 172. If we don't break down, or if we don't break up through it, and we break down, that downside potential right now is down here at 65. That would be MU. Mara. Oh. There's the resistance. And sideways is the name of the game here. Till Bitcoin can break out, it's probably going sideways to slightly lower. Here's the high. Yep. And double resistance right there. Double support, double support right there. All right. Moving on. eBay still has the same pattern, still same potential, still the same targets. Big picture. That high, this low. 91 is still the target. Could take some weeks to get there. Kind of flying on this kind of trajectory. Put that off of here. Could take us out well into middle of next year to get up there. And there could be a pullback in between. TREE. That's a big resistance on the weekly chart. Not a very good chart to try to mess with here. I don't know. Could be done on the downside. Doesn't have a retrace. Just a move up off the low. The weekly roadmap line coming in right there. It's got some stuff to work through. We may see a deep retrace here. After we hit that, we could come back down to this $25 area right here on tree. LW. So here's resistance. And downside support is here. There's resistance and there's support. What do I expect? Sideways. More of that. And TSLA has been working on a potential breakout. This high, this low, rejected, may come back down to the roadmap line. It was working on it and rejected, so that's not the best sign. Meta, we're at the target, probably going to retrace. I mean, it could extend to 613, but probably going to retrace. MSFT is stuck down here at the roadmap line, could not break through. That's 3 waves up into that resistance. This could result in a bigger, deeper retrace, which would take us back down here on Microsoft. If it can't participate. All right. And AXON, Axon. That's at the target. Nothing left to do but retrace. It's extension 419, 447. And support down here. Now, sometimes they just keep ripping. Like Race just keeps ripping. Lily just keeps ripping. So, and for a long time, this one just kept ripping and ripping and ripping. Sometimes they go for a long time without retracing. I'm a trend pullback continuation type trader. That's the pattern I look for. That's the high probability pattern I look for. I'm not just like go long. So, all right. And let's see, what was I on? Microsoft, DKNG. Resistance is right there. That move down, that retrace, bouncing off of that resistance, can take it down to 25. It can get through the resistance. The upside is up here. That's the long and the short of it. And we already did see RWD, I'm pretty sure. Oh, no, we didn't. CrowdStrike. So that's finding resistance at the roadmap line. This move down, this retrace. If we break down below this low, is indicative that we're going down here. The upside resistance is right there with that gap and that 618. If we can get above that, could be looking at upside in here. Bigger potential on the downside. I'm not sure that CrowdStrike's everything is done yet. Maybe subject to more downside on that one. And S Sentinel 1 looks a lot the same. Got that high, this low, into the resistance here. Big gap down. This one may go lower. Right there, right there, right there. That would put it lower low down here around 10. And BTBT. Yeah, this. So this has potential to break out, but it's just not doing it. This is lower highs so far. It's just more sideways until Bitcoin can get out of its own way. Like this is kind of higher lows, lower highs. If we can get Bitcoin to break out, it looks good. Otherwise, this may just keep consolidating sideways into the tighter wedge here. And ADBE. This did an unfortunate thing. So we topped out, we retraced, we found resistance at the gap down. And gap down again. Not exactly bullish. We are right at the line here. We start breaking below that. I'm actually going to put an alert there. If we start breaking below that, this can go on down to 405 area. Right down in there. That would be my expectation. Now, if we get above the crap we've kind of established here, we get back up here. That would be the upside target, 673 for now. On Adobe and SMH is stuck under the resistance there. Nothing's changed. That's resistance. If we get the continuation lower, that's the downside target area. If we can somehow beat that gap down, that would be the upside potential right there on SMH. All right, that's the list for the day. Only 60 left on the stream, so I'll see you again tomorrow morning, 9:15. Same bat time, same bat channel. Be back here tomorrow morning. Stay safe out there. Market's closed. Go have dinner. Spend time with family.